Howdy, everybody. We're back at it again with some RPG horror stories. Today, we're going to talk about a sister that is trying to optimize her brother's actions in game and a min-maxer that can summon a god. That's right, we're talking about power gamers. Our first story comes from Reddit user EffectiveCod1482, titled, I Can't Take My Own Turns During Combat. And it goes, this is a bit of a short and mild one, I think. My sister is a very smart person, really good at math, and a bit more experienced in some aspects of the game, but less experienced in others. But she sometimes struggles to break the older sister persona during RPG sessions. I'm fine outside of combat, but when there's combat, she'll often tell me exactly what to do when it's my turn. For example, now you can go over there and attack the guy running away using skill XYZ, etc. I brought this up with her, but when I make my own decisions, she would say afterwards, you could have done just XYZ, or you should have done XYZ. Alright, it sounds here like the sister could be a couple things. She might be a power gamer and trying to get her brother to do like the optimal course of action here. Trying to control everyone's actions like this, though, isn't cool, and it's kind of frankly rude. And, obviously she shouldn't do that. She also could just really enjoy combat and be excited and want her brother to be excited as well. And her making suggestions is coming from a place of wanting him to do the best and, win in combat, as it were. And I will say trying to win in TTRPGs is generally like a bad idea. And this can create like a weird atmosphere, ultimately where you end up kind of competing against the DM or other players to, quote, win the game. This also could just be a case of an older sibling who's just trying to help out their younger sibling. And while this is probably meant to come from a place that's positive, anybody who's been the younger sibling knows that this can get really annoying. And that looks like that probably is the case here. Back to the story, though. Sometimes her suggestions are even something I would have done anyway. But it's the principle of it. It makes me feel like I can't play properly. Right now, I'm playing a character that's canonically a bit stupid, so it doesn't make me feel as bad when I mess up. But to be honest, I don't think I'm stupid. When I play with other people, I don't feel like this as much. Okay, not sure if Effective COD here is on the younger side or they're still learning the system they're playing, but you should never feel dumb for messing up. Messing up's a huge part of what can make TTRPGs fun. Can add a nice wild card into the mix of what's going on in combat or in the roleplay. Also, playing true to your character is important and, can be part of the fun. One time, I really tried to push a plan I had, but it didn't work out. And while I didn't say anything, she could sense I was disappointed. She said something like, see, if I help you, you get upset, but if I don't help you, you also get sad. We wanted to play again together soon, and I think I'll just try to not let it get to my ego as long as she doesn't overdo it. How did you guys handle similar situations? My recommendation to Effective COD here is to talk with their sister. Let them know, hey, I appreciate you trying to help, but if I need pointers, I'll ask. One of the most important parts of learning is making mistakes. It's common to be disappointed when a plan you have does not work, but also remember that things not going perfectly can lead to some memorable moments in TTRPGs. For example, I currently run a Star Wars 5e game with some friends, and they were tasked with infiltrating an undersea Imperial research base and blowing it up. They successfully got inside, and one of the characters, a scholarly kind of spy type of character, convinced some of the Imperial officers on board that she was looking for a rebel traitor that had infiltrated the base. She then pulled all these junior officers aside and got them to try to arrest the chief officer that was on board the base, which ended up leading to this huge gunfight because he refused to obviously go quietly. Nobody could hit anything, NPC or PC alike, and it was like something out of Star Wars Rebels. At the same time, the rest of the party was trying to plant explosives and get just the heck out of Dodge. And this went wrong when the bomb they planted under an office chair ended up being discovered and disarmed by one of the scientists on board. And that led to the scientists who found it, messaging the group of Imperials that were in the admin wing where this massive gunfight was going on about the treachery, things not going right. So our scholar, the scholarly PC, was able to use that failure, that, plan going awry as a springboard basically to get the junior officers she had convinced to double down on the supposed traitor, And meanwhile, the scientist released a bioweapon they were developing to try to stop these intruders on board. Ultimately though, Our heroes were were victorious, but the plan they had went way off the rails, and it's been one of my most memorable moments playing with friends recently. By the end of the session, I was in stitches. I was crying laughing because it was just everything was going wrong, and it was great. But another suggestion I would have for effective is that they could talk with their DM and ask the DM to step in to get the sister to stop making suggestions as well. Part of the DM's job is to corral the players, and that could mean stepping in and making sure that all the players get a chance to shine, and making sure that other players aren't being overbearing and stopping other players from having fun. It's part of the DM's job, and it wouldn't hurt to reach out and ask. Now, here's where I would do an ad read. This is where I'd insert a beautiful, awesome ad read if I had one. So today's video is sponsored by me. That's right, me. I stream on Twitch during the week, generally 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central US American Standard Time. I play a variety of games like Marvel Rivals or Total War or whatever the heck I'm feeling like. So if you want to hang out and talk TTRPGs or whatever, click on that link down below in the description and follow me on Twitch. And let's hang out and play games and talk TTRPGs and stuff. But back to the video. Okay, our next story is titled Min Maxer Gets the Literal Power to Summon a God to Fight for Him, in a Reddit post that was created by Waste Marionberry 984. And it goes, playing a Spelljammer version of D&D, we are a party of 5. Most of us are mostly focused on roleplay, but one of the players, let's call them Jake, hopefully not Jake from State Farm, clearly tries to make the strongest build possible. Nothing wrong with that on its own, but it's been an issue as they clearly try to outclass everyone else whenever a role is involved. Jake is also the type of player to only ever stay in character whenever it is combat, and as soon as we're out of combat, they just start talking about things going on in their life. Okay, immediately going off topic, after combat is done, it's very rude. And the DM needs to step in if this is being excessive. Like, if this happens after every single combat, they need to step in and put a stop to it. This already sounds like Jake is in the wrong type of game potentially, and maybe better suited to a table of like-minded gamers, a group that's more power game heavy, maybe more combat focused and less RPG focused. That way he can get to the core of what they like to play. Back to the story though. We get into a mission where we have to fight some elementals on an asteroid. The party stumbles upon a druid grove and Jake secretly gets an amulet. The story continues and we all of a sudden have to fight a god. Fight went rather smoothly, way too smoothly. The god revives and a second harder phase begins. At this point, most of the people in the party are already down and out of spell slot. We manage and defeat him again. Guess what? A third, even harder phase. In this version, we basically had to roll a nat 20 to almost even hit this god. Well, lucky for us, the amulet has the power to summon a god as well that helps Jake out. With the help of this god, Red, the god being the only one doing anything, we win this combat. Side note, I love boss phases. I've been experimenting with them the last few months with my 5e campaign. That being said, this sounds like Jake spoke with his DM to get this fancy amulet, and the GM should not have given something so OP to Jake. Unless the DM's planning to kill this god off or have this god turn on the party and turn into like the BBEG, this could be campaign ending and could end up as a disaster, as the party, or Jake to be specific, has basically attained a way to defeat every combat encounter. Back to the story though. So, we had to go through a fight where we basically had to wait for Jake to summon his god and win the fight for us. Sounds bad, right? Well, this is what happens next. For some needed backstory, my character is an axolotl ranger, adorable picture on screen now, obsessed with frogs. A giant frog was teased in prior sessions, so I was really hyped to meet that frog. Now the god Jake summoned wants us to go kill that frog. Okay, this sounds unfortunate, but in the right party and circumstances, this could lead to some interesting roleplay, you know, with part of the party being like, maybe we want to try to befriend this giant frog, and like another part of the party being like, this god I, for some reason, am tied to now wants me to go kill this frog, and you get a nice cool moral quandary, though I don't think that's going to be the case here. Note that this isn't a campaign that deals with extreme power levels. My character has received an arrow that deals +1 damage, our sorcerer gets a staff that triggers wild magic once per long rest, our artificer gets a bag of holding, and the rogue has a +1 dagger. And then there is Jake with the power to summon a god now. Guess that's the thing from now on. Okay, Jake sounds like there might be a problematic player at this table. for many of the people involved, with their focus kind of being more solely on combat and not being interested in RP and all. Now, in most cases, this isn't horrible. Some players obviously prefer combat over RP, but you have to be respectful to everybody else, and you need to kind of sit down and be quiet during the RP if that's not your thing, and definitely not start talking about life outside of the game or other topics when people are trying to RP. I think the main issue here, though, is that the DM is doing something absolutely horrible by allowing such an item to be created and given to a character. This could be a case of this amulet being tied to Jake's character's story, and this maybe being their moment to shine, but it doesn't really feel like that because it's clear Jake isn't big into RP. The party, or Waste, Mary and Barry here, need to talk with their DM and figure this out, because this has the potential to derail the entire campaign and just ruin everything if it's not handled correctly. Game breaking items like this can just ruin the campaign in a blink of an eye, with Jake killing off maybe important people or potentially big story beats just kind of not mattering at all at this point. And long term, this could lead to the table breaking up, because combat's now not fun because Jake just summons Cthulhu to handle the party's problems. This could be bad. Like, they need to get that fixed. That is going to be it for me today. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for some more. And thank you again to me for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.